Hello. If you're doing the weekly advanced revision, what you'll need is the links to the practice videos if you need them, and the links to the actual resources themselves. So you've gone through all of the videos for the advanced spreadsheets ICDL qualification, or you're going through it step by step. So what you can do is you can go through the weekly revision step by step or all in one go. It's entirely up to you. So what you're doing is making sure that even though you've watched the videos, you're actually learning what's going on. You're not just watching them. That's not enough for some people to actually be able to reproduce that task in something else. So you need to practice it. So this will give the opportunity to practice it. If you've paid for this course, you'll be sent these links and able to get in on YouTube. If you're a university staff or student, you'll be able to get on as well. So this is really to back up what you're learning. The other thing is you may not want to do the weekly revision. You might take some of the tasks that you've been looking at with regard to the video-based learning, and you may just go straight ahead and apply them to whatever it is that you need to do. Entirely up to you. They're here to use whichever way you wish, and hopefully they'll be clearing up a few things with regard to the exam if that's what you're going for. Okay, thank you very much. So the first one we're going to look at, let's have a look at the question paper itself first. You can see that we're going to start on question 29, but just check you've got the right paper. This is what it should be saying at the top. I've already done a series weekly revision for week 2, week 3 and week 4. So now we're starting at week 5. So 29, question 29, it's using the VAT worksheet. So I'm assuming we're still in the revision paper workbook. That's where we're finding all these different tabs. So we're going to use that worksheet. We're going to add a function in A1 to enter today's date and time. We're going to add a function in A6 to show the year number from cell D6 and copy it through. Add a function in B6 to show the month, using a function for that, and from D6 again, and copy that through. And finally, add a function in J16 to count the number of invoices not yet paid. Okay, so using the revision workbook again, we're on VAT sheet, and in the first part of the question 29, we needed to put in a automatic today's date and time, which would be a now. Double click, close off brackets and enter, and that will deal with that one. In A6, the question, first part of the question, asked us to draw out the year from D6, so use a function that does that. So on to D6, close brackets and enter. And remember, a double click will go to the next available space. If we go back to the question, it wants us to do in B6, wants us to extract a month from D6. So let's go in there, the month function will do that for us. Double click, click on D6, close. Nice easy functions to start with. Double click and drop those down. Okay, the last part of this is add a function in J16. So I'm just going to click in there and we'll double check with the question. So add a function in cell J16 to count the number of invoices not yet paid. So in here, so it's going to be a count. I've worked that one out. And it's a count if, because it's got a criteria that it wants to meet. It's going to be this data range here, because this is the one where we're looking to see if they've yet paid, so payment received. We're going to use a comma, and then we're going to think about what could we put in there that counts those areas that are not yes, and that's the clue there. So remember speech marks when you're using chevrons, we need the not sign, which the chevrons opposite each other, and then we're going to have the yes itself, and then wrap that also. So the chevrons and the yes has to be wrapped as characters, text, or letters. And then we can close it off, enter it in, and we get 4. And then if I put no in, I still stay the same, so I'm not upsetting anything, okay? If we wanted to do it the different way, you want to do it with the insert function, type in the countif as we did before, bring up your insert function, there's your range, and then you've just got to put the chevrons in and the yes, because it will fix the speech marks for you, and okay. Remember, click out of a cell that's active that you've just worked on in the exam, because you can throw an error up. You would in the real world too before you move around and save things. So, you know, just make sure that you've finalised that cell. Okay, we're moving on to question 30 using the vlookup tab. Back to the question. Okay, in the vlookup worksheet and in F4, use a lookup function to find the discount rate based on the number bought in D4, and then copy that formula down from F4 to cells F5, F6. So this is where we are, D4. We have a table here, a vertical table, and part of the clue is in the question as well, which won't be quite like that in the exam. It'll just say use a lookup. So we know we're going to use a vlookup. And the sheet says lookup as well with a V. Okay, so we've got our vlookup. We've got our first instance. We've got our comma. We come down and we pick up our table of array. We absolute immediately with an F4 function key. We type in a comma, and the column index number is 1, 2. It's 2 because we're looking for discount, wherever it's placed on the sheet. So we need a 2, close it up, enter, and then you can autofill. Before we do that, though, let's do it another way. Equal vlookup, insert function arguments, so you can see what we're doing. I need to be over here actually, so I can do the first instance. The table of array, and remember F4 function key to absolute it, and then make sure you do click down in the next one. 1, 2, pop in the 2, no need for false, doesn't need it in this exam, and then autofill down. Okay, nice, straightforward. Next tab is company. Okay, so let's go back to our questions 31. So in the company worksheet, use the data in the cell range G6 to G14 only to calculate the number of invoices under 500 and put it in 17. Do it a bit at a time. So we're going into G17. We know we're going to count because it says number of. We know we've got criteria. And so we could put, there's our data, the invoices, and our criteria is below 500. I'm double checking with myself that's correct, and okay. So remember, if you type it in, you have to put speech marks in because you're using the less than chevron. Okay, that's the reason behind that. Escape. Let's look at the next part of the question. Looks like it's a summing of something if it meets criteria, so I'm starting to think it might be a sumif. Okay, so in G18, use data in cell range D6 to D14 to calculate the sum of the invoices for the company Smith & Co. So only for those, right? So it's an adding up again if it meets the right criteria, so we know it's a sumif. I'll bring up the FX. So the first thing is the range. Now we know it's based on this range here, as it says in the question. And the people that we want, the criteria we want for Smith & Co., click on there. And then the range we're going to add up, we're going to sum, are the invoices. So we're going to highlight that range for the invoices. Oops, made a mistake there. Remember, easily done. You've got to make sure that you move your cursor to the next one and then pick up your range. So if you see that you do anything along the way, it's not a big deal. You're human, you'll make errors. But if you do, remember you can click around, you can change things, you can edit things or before you hit that answer button in the test, and then you move on. Once it's answered, it's answered. Okay, so if we OK that, we've got Smith & Co. total invoices only, which is what we wanted. Final part of the question is in H18, add a function to round the figure in cell G18 down to no decimal places. So remember, no round, only round up or round down, and we're doing a round down on this one. We're applying it to G18 and we're doing it by no decimal places. It's quite easy to type in. And yes, that's worked because it's dropped the 0.41 from the answer. So we rounded it down. Okay, lovely. So I'm going to just click on the rank sheet and then we're going to have a look at the question again for this one. So on the ranking worksheet, add a function in H6 that will rank the number in cell A6 from highest to lowest, relative to the cell range A6 to A14. Okay, and copy the function down. Right, so in here we're going to go equal rank. I know that I can't use a rank ordinary rank, so I have to use rank.eq because I'm in MS 2016. I'm going to go to the FX. So the number that it's told me to look for with the ranking question is A6 here. The reference is the range that it sits within, so that's our range where A6 sits. Would I absolute? Absolutely, because I'm going to autofill it down, which means this will move down as well. So I've absoluted it. I click on the order and it tells me which one is descending. So ranking descending equals 0. It wants highest to lowest. So I'm quite happy with that, the 0. And then what we're going to do is we're going to OK, double click, and there you go. Just as a demo, just to remind you, if you don't absolute that, take it back to relative by keep tapping and enter. First one works, but you will see green arrows appear on the other ones because if I double click, it means the range has moved. It's not stayed absolutely static or stand still. Okay, right, so we're now moving on to the next question.